paid close to $100 million for a single piece of digital art. Really? Yes, really. And though I'm not a millionaire and not by any means an NFT expert, I will say that I believe it was worth it. Each of the 10 NFT digital art pieces we're going to discuss today have one common characteristic, which I believe is going to change the world, going to change our ability to do business in the world. We're going to talk today in today's live stream more about that characteristic. But first, I want to jump into the top 10 most expensive NFTs in the world. We're going to start right now with CryptoPunk. Let's see, we got that on the screen. CryptoPunk 5217. Now, this sold last year for the whopping sum of $5.59 million. But interesting fact, back in 2017, you could have had this CryptoPunk and other CryptoPunks like it for free. When I say 2017, I mean 4.5 years ago, you could have gotten this particular CryptoPunk that's now worth upwards of $6 million for free. You see, what happened was the creators of the CryptoPunks, Matt Hall and John Watkinson, they had a problem. They did not want to be beholden to corporate interests. They wanted to be entrepreneurs. They wanted to use their software development skills for a good purpose. So what they did is they developed this software, this unique software that created 10,000 unique images. They were fans of the kind of the punk phase in the 70s and 80s and kind of that kind of 8-bit type of art. And so they created these 10,000 images through use of software development through the use of this software. And they came up with the CryptoPunks. Now, initially, the CryptoPunks was going to be a game. It was going to be something you would play. But eventually, Matt and John thought, hey, listen, what about this new concept of NFTs? What if we converted these 10,000 images into NFTs and sold them, gave them away? Now, that was back in 2017, as I said. And initially, the CryptoPunks were for free. You could get them for free. The only thing you had to pay was the Ethereum gas fee, which back in 2017 was in the $20 range. So this, if you had been in the know way back when, like I said, in 4 years ago or so, you could have gotten this CryptoPunk for free. Now, the smart thing that they also did is they reserved of the 10,000, 1,000 CryptoPunks for themselves. So I think they're doing pretty well right now. But I think the lesson that can be learned from this CryptoPunk 5217 is that don't always charge for things within your creative endeavors, within your business. Sometimes it pays to give things out for free in order to generate momentum for your business, for your creativity. And then let it sit. Let people engage in your community and have your product, your service gain value over time. In this example, both Matt and John gave away the CryptoPunks for free at the beginning. And now you can't get a CryptoPunk for less than $300,000 or I think even more. And certainly the most rare CryptoPunks like 5217, those are selling for $5 and $6 million. So a big lesson we learned from that. I just want to take a moment to say hi to some people that have joined us early in the morning on Saturday at 8 or 11 or wherever your time zone is. We got the cap on, favorite YouTube lawyer. Thank you so much. Yeah, you know what? I started in the process of Web 2 of YouTube and now moving to Web 3. Thanks for joining us. Anthony Goodley's here too. What's an NFT? No blank talking in class. Thank you so much, Anthony, for joining us today. We also got JR Music joining us. Hey, JR. He's saying it's an NFT moment. It is an NFT moment. And certainly we could talk about all the hype that's around NFTs. But I think what really I want to focus on in today's presentation are the lessons that we can learn from these very expensive NFTs and use them in our own business. Anthony Goodley wants to talk now. Okay. Okay, great. All right. Anyway, Leo's here. Good morning, Leo. Good to see you. All right. Let's move on to what we're talking about as the second most expensive NFT, and that is Beeple's Oceanfront. Again, this sold in 2021, last year, for $6 million. Now, what's really interesting about this particular image is that Beeple, and you may know him as Mike Winkelmann, The first time he heard about NFTs was back in October of 2020. That means that about a year and 4 months ago, the king of NFTs in the globe had heard of the concept. This is a lesson in itself to, wow, keeping your mind open about future technology, which could really reward you not only in the long run, but in the short run. So, Mike, whose people really wasn't satisfied with just being a husband, a father in Wisconsin with a piece of blank Corolla. He dreamed of millions of people looking at his art on a day-to-day basis. Now, year after year, he did so much marketing. He did as much marketing as he could, but he couldn't get any traction. And that was until he met this person, this mysterious person. This person was a genius at programming. He was also a digital artist himself. He was a programmer, a technologist. He was from Turkey. He was super talented, and he was also very excited about this new technology called NFTs. And so when Mike met this man, his name is Murat Pak, they talked about NFTs, and Mr. Pak showed him how to mint an NFT and how to actually market it online to get some traction for his art. Well, thankfully, Beeple was able to take that advice and create more and more digital art, and some of the most expensive digital art in the world. The key lesson from this particular image right here is to not be afraid of new technology, of opening your mind. When you're hearing about this new Web3, when you're hearing about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, when you're hearing about crypto, do some independent research. Don't just rely on the headlines. Talk to knowledgeable people, especially people, because a lot of times people can be your conduit into success and opportunity in this future. And a lot of times I'm railing on about Web3. And the reason I'm doing it is because we are at the infancy phase. We're at the beginning of what it was, the internet of the 1990s. And I really want to get you into it as soon as possible. I want to be Mr. Pak, who we'll talk about a lot more in today's live stream because he has major impact throughout the industry. But I want to be your Mr. Pak. I want to introduce you into how to mint NFTs, how to use utility tokens to be able to maximize your online business. So this is what Mike did, Beeple, is that he was open to this new technology of NFTs. And again, just a year and 4 months ago. And he embraced the opportunities that came his way. You can do the same thing. All right. Let's move on to our number 8 most expensive NFT in the world. And that is X Copies, a coin for the ferryman, which also sold for $6 million. Interestingly enough, I think this one is kind of crazy. This particular NFT you could have bought in 2018 for $139. The artist of this NFT is from London. He has been doing digital art for a long time. He's known for spending tons and tons of time on his digital art, using very bright colors and also creating digital art that flickers and moves. So we can switch back to this screen here. You can't see it in this image, but when you actually look at this image, you'll find little hidden images in his, like what it looks like scribbles, and they flicker on the screen endlessly. So it's not just just a static image. It's also a video image, which is very, very interesting. And the point I want to take from this one is that just like Mike Winkelmann, who's Beeple, Xcopy did the same thing. When he started to see that crypto and NFTs got popular in 2017, he was one of the first to log into Super Rare, which is one of the top artist NFT platforms. And he proceeded to create 2,000 pieces of art, and not all of them sold for $6 million, but some sold for very high prices. And this one in particular sold for $6 million. The reason why the connoisseurs, I'm not a connoisseur, but the reason why people really like this piece of art is because of all the value he put into it. In other words, if you spent time with this, maybe you don't have any interest, but if you spent time with this and you looked frame by frame at the images that you see, it is clear that each frame is intentional. He spent a lot of time creating this, multi-second video digital piece of art. And so what I took from this is that it's really important when you're putting out your product, you're putting out your creativity, to make sure that it has tons and tons of value. Now, like good example in a video, make sure it is the best you can possibly do. Tomorrow, you may not get 10 views. You may not get 100 views. You may not get 10,000 views. But over time, if you've consistently put out value, the chances are very good that people are going to see that. So value products and creativity have a long tail. In other words, you can reap the rewards for a long time. So this particular NFT by XCopy was put out in 2018. Like I said, you could get it for $139 back then. But now, just 3 or 3.5 short years later, it is worth upwards of $6 million. So a lesson for us, and that is just that continue to put value in each piece of product or creativity we can, and eventually it will pay off. All right, let's see if anybody else joined us today. We got Chris, I see you. Watched some of your earlier videos. Very informative. Thank you for your content. Hey, from London. Great to see you. You're from the same country or city, excuse me, as XCopy. Awesome. Good to see you, Chris. Leo Sketches says a lot of expensive NFTs are overrated, inflated by influencers and marketing strategies. Yes, that's true. But I'm going to talk about one characteristic that the top 10 have that those others don't. It's very important. And I think that if you understand this one common characteristic, you could put it in any art or product or service you offer to people, your audience, and be able to really succeed. So that's true. There's lots of, overpriced NFTs. I'm never going to say that there's not a lot of hype now about virtual land. I don't know if you know, but right now the Sandbox is having a land sale. I think it's ending soon because it started on Thursday, I think. But I tried to get in because, the prices were attractive in the beginning, but it's so hard to compete with these crypto millionaires who come in and buy all this stuff. But I will say, that over time, this hype will die down and there'll be more competition and there'll be more reasonable prices for not only NFTs, NFT music, but also virtual land. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Let's see, we got, oh, I love Mr. Vigia. Okay. He's named his own acronym for NFTs. Good to see that. Cap says, I still don't understand how an NFT works. Well, let's just get into that for a brief moment. Of course, an NFT is a non-fungible token, and that is a token that has a representation on a given blockchain, which says that whoever has purchased it is the owner forever, indefinitely. With respect to the media that comes with that NFT, that can change. That's stored on the International File Planetary System. And also people can access oftentimes the media involved in your NFTs. There are some NFTs where the media is stored on the blockchain, but it's very expensive. So most of the time you store the media off blockchain and then you have the ownership represented in the blockchain. What's wonderful about NFTs is that you are the owner if you bought it and you can transfer it and it can gain value over time. And I'm not just talking about digital art. I'm talking about music. I'm talking about video. I'm talking about what I refer to as utility tokens, which I'm most excited about, which are access keys. I spend $1,000 for an access key to Gary Vaynerchuk's world. And now for forever, I get invites to his conferences. I get more NFTs. I get more access to him. So that's the essentials of an NFT. You can own NFTs by getting crypto, of course, putting crypto in your wallet and then hooking up your wallet on a website like OpenSea or Rarible or Super Rare Foundation, and then be able to buy the NFT using your wallet, transferring the crypto funds to the exchange in exchange for the NFT. And then you will hold that NFT in your wallet. I recommend you transfer it to a cold storage wallet, which you'll see in the video. I'll put a video link right there to my video, which talks about, getting crypto from Coinbase, getting a wallet, putting the crypto in the wallet, and then buying NFTs. You're going to be able to watch that video right there. But that's the long and short of NFTs. So when we're talking about the most expensive NFTs, these are digital art that various collectors own from around the world, and they own it by having an indication in the ledger of the blockchain saying that they are the owners. It doesn't matter whether or not someone takes their clip or they screenshot their art. They are the owners, and they have the right to benefit from ownership of that. All right, so let's move on to, where are we on? We're number 7 of the top 10 most expensive NFTs. And I got to tell you, man, I am just, I had so much fun putting together this presentation yesterday because I'm so excited. I had no idea about the features and the benefits of these NFTs. All we see in the media oftentimes is, dude, People's Crossroad, this image that we see on the screen sold for 6.6 million, but it's way, way, way more. The stories are way, way more fun than that. So have you ever heard of a piece of art that transforms itself based upon the outcome of a national election? Have you ever heard of a piece of art? There's an external event. In other words, in our case, it's the U.S. presidential election of 2020, and the actual digital art will transform based upon the outcome of that election. Well, in this case, that is Beeple's version of Crossroad. He created this art back in 2020, and basically what it did is it was two separate. Well, it's a video piece of art, and I wish I could show you. This is a static image of it. If you go, I'll drop a link in the description where you can actually see the the tweet that includes the video of it. But the bottom line is it's two different videos. That's the NFT. And if President Trump was to win the election, then the NFT would transform to an image or a video of President Trump looking triumphant. Well, of course, President Trump did not win. President Biden won. And so what we get in this NFT is an image, what we see partly here, where it's President Trump naked, beaten, and battered, having lost the 2020 election. So this basically Beeple at this point in time, he was really concerned in creating a piece of art that would morph with this big issue that the American public was facing. And so he came up with this concept of the crossroad, which is absolutely genius. I've never thought of a piece of art changing based upon the outcome of an external event. So what the thing that I took from this piece of Crossroads, $6.6 million, is that, and I hate to use this phrase, but thinking outside of the box. When you're doing your product, when you're doing your creativity, I don't know if you guys are making videos, making podcasts, offering a service or a product, maybe being a lawyer, whatever it is, you got to think outside of the box and try to create, certainly emulate the greats, but also add various features to your products, services, creativity that no one has thought of before that you can do. And so what Beeple did, again, and he just found out about NFTs a year and 4 months ago. But what he did here is he figured out a way to have this NFT change based upon the outcome of an external event. No one had done that before. It was such a value add to the typical NFT that someone paid $6.6 million for it. So Leo Sketches, when you're talking about a lot of overhyped NFTs, I totally get it. Absolutely. But what we're seeing actually is a lot of innovation. And Beeple is one of the early innovators in NFTs where he's creating art that changes. And we're going to see more. This is a foreshadowing of his changing art later on as we talk. Super, I think this may be my favorite Beeple. And again, I'm going to leave a link to the tweet where you can see the full version of this where it's playing in the background. But I'm a big supporter of Mike Winkelmann. I think the guy is committed and open. Two characteristics which you need to survive in this current time. So let's move on to the next one, which I think is number 6 on our top 10. All right, so this is CryptoPunk 7804, sold for $7.6 million last year, late last year. Starting to see a theme a little bit. I'm starting to see some CryptoPunks repeating in our top 10 of the most expensive NFTs. We'll talk about that trend at the end of our talk today. But this particular NFT was bought by Dylan Field, and he's a guy young guy, super interested in technology. He, back in 2017, I think he had a neighbor or a roommate that was a programmer on the Ethereum blockchain. And so he got excited about Ethereum, and he purchased some Ethereum. And back then it was pretty inexpensive. And then what happened was there was some sort of marketing about CryptoPunks. And again, it was, you could get CryptoPunks for free or virtually free back then. And he really was excited about it. He didn't initially get a CryptoPunk. He waited for some months. But what he also did is he observed the online community. And this online community got to be really, really fervent. They got to get really excited about these various 10,000 images that were, looked pretty simple, but were kind of cool poses. So he monitored the community, and eventually he got his nerve up to spend $100 on his first CryptoPunk back in 2017. He started to see the momentum of the CryptoPunks grow. He was monitoring it on a day-to-day basis. He's like, you know what? This is actually, it could be a thing. And so he began to buy more and more CryptoPunks. Eventually, I don't exactly, the date is not clear, but I'm thinking it was in 2019 or 2020. He bought this CryptoPunk, which of course is 7804. He bought this one for $15,000, and he owns other CryptoPunks. He attributes his success with respect to selling this for $7.6 million to the fact that he just did his homework. He monitored the community. And we're going to see this word be very, very present in Web3. The overarching value of Web3 is community. And really, it's kind of like less about looking at stocks and bonds, charts and things like that. It's more about what is the community around the business, the product, the collection, the project, whatever it is. If you're monitoring that, you're going to have a very good understanding of whether or not this is going to increase in value. And so he did this, Dylan Field did, and was able to sell a CryptoPunk for $7.6 million. So he, in 2017, because he was open and he was technologically inclined, was able to convert a $100 investment or $15,000 investment in this case to over $7 million, and now is a millionaire. So that's a big lesson for us. And it reminds me of Mike Winkleman. It reminds me of John Watkinson from the CryptoPunks collection. And it is they're open to new technology, and they're moving their blocks so that they can jump in. A lot of these guys didn't spend a lot of money to jump into this world. I mean, they just spent $100 on a CryptoPunk, or they got it for free. Xcopy's piece of art that we just discussed was sold for $139. So because I'm advocating you being inspired by this new technology doesn't mean you have to spend a whole lot of money. It just means you got to be open to it and look for those opportunities like Dylan Field did with respect to this one. Take a moment here to address some mounting comments here. If I could get it to work. It's frozen as usual. I don't know why it's frozen. Let's see here. We got Keep On Growing with Mike Van Doozy. I love that name, by the way. Mike Van Doozy. You're a Van Doozy. Gary Vee is one dude that is doing the NFT thing right. Absolutely. If you saw my live stream last week, you know that I'm a big Gary Vee supporter. Someday I'm going to own one of his V friends. Right now, 6 Ethereum or 7 Ethereum is just too rich for my blood. But I like to go to the V conference. I think he is doing things right. And he has a similar characteristic as Mike Winkleman and maybe Dylan Field. And that is, he saw this. He saw eyeballs having attention to it, and he jumped in. And granted, the guy has resources. There's no question. If you and I had millions of dollars in the bank to set a team to create a project, to create a restaurant now with the Flyfish, I think it is called, where you buy the NFT and then you have exclusive access to a restaurant in New York. He has the money to do it. But that doesn't mean we can't do it. All that means is we can do a little smaller version and use less financial investment, but more maybe sweat investment to get our project off the ground. So totally agree with that. I'm a big Gary Vee fan and supporter. Okay, so let's see. Where are we at here? We got Dapper Foxtrot. Okay, he's talking about what Leo said. Selling the American dream, schemey and detrimental to understand the technology's benefits. Yeah, listen, Dapper. First of all, you are Dapper, no question about that. Sometimes my excitement, my passion for Web3, maybe can be confused for a misunderstanding, or maybe you seeing me as not understanding that there's a scammy part of this. It would be like complaining that New York has a scammy, crime-ridden part of it. Yeah, it does. You could be mugged in New York City. Are there amazing things that are going on in New York City right now and have been for a really long time, hundreds of years? Yes. So there's always a scammy part, but that's not a reason to not look at it. That's a reason to be aware and to be conscious, but that applies with everything. So all I'm trying to say is just try to appreciate that there are plenty of scammers. I've been scammed. Most people have been scammed in some way relating to Web3 and the Metaverse. But I also believe that ultimately it's going to be for the betterment of our communities and also for us. So totally agree with that. But San Joaquin Valley Transparency, a great name for a YouTube channel. And by the way, hey man, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today and just checking in. Jackie, bye. Hello, Jackie. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it. We also got 109999. I have many image creating. You can have for free from me too. Well, you're smart. I think it's great to have a test NFT launch where you're giving them out for free, to take yourself through the process. Figure out what kind of development company you need to be able to make sure those NFTs appear in the top exchanges. So I fully support it. Ooh, Yoke Tesla. I would love, Yoked, if we could see a picture of your Yoke Tesla someday. So I don't know if there's a way to post it somewhere, maybe on Twitter. I'll direct people to see it, but everyone is excited to see what a Yoked Tesla looks like. But anyway, he's saying Gary Vee is a semi-scammer. All he really does is hype it up, his connections of billionaire, and gets them to pump up whatever he decides to pump next. Then the rich friends pass money around. Well, pump and dump, absolutely. But you know what? Isn't that the case with any very wealthy, out in front of the camera person? Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all these different people. I think that's just the nature of the beast. So what you need to do is make informed decisions. If you don't think it's right to spend 7 Ethereum on a utility token, VeeFriends, for Gary Vee, then don't do it. I've read through the terms of service of all his pages, and I understand what you're entitled to and what you're not. And they're very clear. So if I were to jump in the VeeFriends area, I would know what's going on. And I would know the risks. I would know the risk that 6 months from now, he may get involved in a controversy that makes his VeeFriends worth nothing. So that's just part of the process. So again, not a reason to shy away from these opportunities, just a reason to be aware. All right, so that's that. Let's move on because we got to get this thing done, dude. We're moving on to, so we talked about 7804. Now we're moving on to 2 more CryptoPunks, and I just want to mention them. Our number 5 top most expensive NFT in the world is CryptoPunk 3100, which sold for $7.67 million. And then our number 4 jumps up to $11.75 million, and this is CryptoPunk 7523. And the story is the same. Is the founders of the CryptoPunks were able to create a asset that was very followed and revered in the community. Sales prices just kept rising because there was a scarcity concern, and as a result, they benefited from it. This just happened in 2017. What if you were able to start in 2022 some venture in the metaverse, in Web3 now, and then 3 years from now, I make a video about your success. Again, we're moving so fast these days. It's not like the old days where Jeff Bezos started a company in 1997 or whenever it was, and then was not profitable for 10 years, and then finally flipped the switch, and now he's profitable. Now he's a billionaire, blah, 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 maybe a trillionaire. No, these days we have people selling stuff for close to $12 million within a year or 2 of purchase. So again, unlimited opportunity that we're learning from the CryptoPunks. And another thing to notice is that CryptoPunks figure prominently in our discussion of the 10 most expensive NFTs in the world. Matt Hall and John Watkinson did well. All right, now we're moving on to I said Crossroad was my favorite, but this one, Human One, is kind of another big favorite of mine. I just think that what Mike Winkelmann did with this one is just amazing. So picture that you're an auto mechanic, okay? You fix cars for a living, and then you make a decision one day to say, for the next few weeks, I'm going to study to be a professional plumber, all right? How hard, how frustrating would it be if your trade was being an auto mechanic, and then for a few weeks you tried to become an expert plumber? Probably really hard, probably a lot of sweat and tears, probably a lot of wasted time, you would figure. Maybe you would even have some insecurity, say, I'll never be a great plumber. Well, you might feel that way. Certainly I would feel that way, but Mike Winkelmann, who's Beeple, would not feel that way, because that's exactly what he did with respect to this Human One piece of art. So you understand, the image you're seeing on the screen is actually a physical piece of art. Mike had always been doing digital art since 2007. We'll talk about his history in a moment. So he was very experienced with digital art and digital graphics and video and those things. But he was also wanting to create physical art, stuff that you could actually see and touch in our universe, the real metaverse. And so what he did is he spent a lot of time understanding how to create a digital art piece, work with mahogany wood, work with metals. He also studied a lot about high fidelity screens. What you're seeing right there is a over 7-foot kind of box with let's see, 4 sides, and it's like a silver kind of a what's it, sterling silver outside, but inside is mahogany. And then you're seeing 4 16K screens. I don't even know where you get a 16K screen. I don't even know where you get an 8K screen, but these are 16K screens. And then inside are 2 media servers. And these media servers are serving up the video animated creation of Beeple called Human One, which appears to be a person kind of dressed as an astronaut walking. All right. So none of the images you'll see online do this piece of art justice because either they're just showing a static image of the astronaut or they're showing this, and you kind of don't get a feel for it. But if you actually were able to see this piece of art, you would get the feel for it. You could walk around it and see the back of the astronaut walking, see the front, see the side, whatever. It changes over time. And so what Mike Winkelmann did is that he was not afraid to learn a new skill, and that is the creation of physical art. He knew that he had had some success with some of his early NFTs, and he wanted to transform these NFTs and put them into the physical realm. When the person who bought this got it, you also get a concomitant NFT as well as the physical structure. But that's through his hard work and perseverance that he was able to create this. And then on November 9th, 2021, we're talking, what is it, 2.5 months ago, this was sold for $29 million. So to succeed in this world, you're going to have to learn new things. That's the takeaway I got from this particular creation of Beeples. It's really hard, in life. You kind of get lopped into what you do best and what your job is. Maybe you're a waitress, maybe you're an auto mechanic, maybe you're a computer programmer, maybe you're a lawyer, doctor, whatever you are. But you can't ever give up thinking outside the box and learning new things, because when you learn new things, that is your opportunity. In this case, Mike Winkelmann was an expert digital artist, had learned all the programs that you're needed to be able to do that. But he was not an expert physical art creator. And so he spent the time to do that, and he was rewarded $29 million reward. So that can inspire us to do the same thing, maybe on a smaller scale. All right. Let's see, where are we at here? Just make sure. Yeah, it's so weird how my scrolling is not working today. Okay, Leo, it says, yes, even fake artists, this is sad. Okay. It's weird. For some reason, guys, I apologize, but the comments are not, it's not allowing me to move the comments. There must be an error or something in it. So anyway, Sim Architect says, you're right, Ian. By the way, comments where you say I'm right, I love to hear. I'm so insecure that when you say I'm right, it makes me feel good. Yeah, and Sim Architect has it right. Utility tokens are interesting, though. Okay, maybe you think the digital art is too hyped, but I agree. Utility tokens are very, very interesting. Matter of fact, I made a video all about utility tokens, about what they are, about how to create them, how to use them. And you can watch it in the video that I'll post right up here. So click on that. I think they're super interesting. And let me just break it down for you. Utility tokens are NFTs, which are access keys. They're already being in use. Examples, VFriends with Gary Vaynerchuk, where, of course, when you buy one of the digital NFT pieces of art, you have access to his V conference for 3 years running. I just recently joined a online course, or actually kind of like a mastermind, with the godmother of NFTs. So I'm kind of excited about that. And in order for me to join this course, I had to buy an NFT, it's not really that spectacular of art, but this NFT is my access token for this class, for this mastermind. And then it will be used later on in time for access to other opportunities, educational opportunities, or conferences and things like that. And a lot of times, especially in Gary Vee's case, it gains in value. So utilities token is something that you could create yourself for your audience, for your community, to give them access and to give them continual value, which is a theme that we're going to keep talking about throughout today's presentation. So I agree on that. Oh, okay. Van Duzy listened to what I said and says, you're right. I love it. All right. So let's move on. We talked about Human One. It's not my favorite. I guess Crossroads is my favorite, but it's pretty awesome. All right. Now we're moving to, Beeple. We're talking about Mike Winkelmann again. Isn't it weird that most of our discussion today is CryptoPunks and Beeple? There's two exceptions to that rule, and we'll get to that in a moment. And I think you're going to be excited about it. But anyway, let's talk about what basically made all the national headlines. Every Days by Beeple sold in, I guess it was March of 2021 for $69 million. Now, when you see the headlines, and I'm victim of this. When I read it, I'm like, oh, dude, what is this? Why is this worth almost $70 million? I mean, it's a lot of images. I can't even see them. Why is there any value to this? I shouldn't say let's stop doing that. This is one of the most amazing creations I've ever seen. Think about this. Imagine that you were going to paint a new picture every day for 15 years. Imagine that for a moment. That's what Mike Winkelmann committed to doing. So what he did is back in 2007, on May 1st, he was of the mind that he wanted to get better at drawing digitally. Okay. This guy has a super amazing willpower. And so what he said is, I'm going to commit to doing a piece of digital art every day for the rest of my life. Every day. Now, a lot of you might say, okay, that's cool. You think about Casey Neistat and maybe Roberto Blake, who made a video every day for a certain period, right? But you got to remember those situations. Not only were there exceptions, there's one day, Roberto was sick or something, but there were also times when they were batched. Okay, so that meant that, I'm going to be taken off for 3 days, so I have to make 3 videos today to cover the days I'm off. Well, Mike Winkelmann said, no. It's important that I make a piece of art every day. What does that mean? When Mike was getting married on his wedding day, of course, he planned it probably accordingly, but he made a piece of digital art. When his children were born, one of the most special days of your life, he made sure and did a piece of digital art. He was going to have a vacation. Oh, okay. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do 5 digital art pieces on 1 day or 2 days, and then I'll just be able to take off these 5 days. No, it was important for Mike to create a new piece of art every day and get better at his trade every day. And in this case, for 15 years. Can you imagine not taking a day off for 15 years and creating the art that he has? So that was done. And for 5,000 days straight, and this continues to this day, he created these digital art pieces. And guess what he did? He converted those 5,000 pieces of art into everydays. So I forgot the name of the gentleman who owns this. I forgot his name. But anyway, this guy for 70 million has 5,000 pieces of art representing the blood, the sweat, the frustration that Mike undoubtedly felt when he was creating this art for 15 years. Listen, $69 million is a lot of money, but doesn't that kind of make sense to you how the value is? All the effort that it took to create this work of art. So I think really the thought I had from this one is consistency. I think that I'm going to estimate, and I don't know if it's true, but 90% of our efforts out there, we're creative, we're video makers, we're podcasters, we're doctors. 90% of that is consistency. And what Mike has consistently demonstrated is his commitment to consistency. I'm going to show up. And I got to tell you, you will be rewarded. Just in my own experience with YouTube, sometimes my videos aren't the most interesting. Sometimes they're not the most provocative, but I've really done my best to show up consistently, and I've been rewarded for that. So what's nice about consistency is that it's kind of, I don't want to say it's easy to do. It's not easy to do, but the concept is easy. And if you could just execute on that concept, do some advanced planning, you can beat out 99.9% of your competition. All right. 15 years, every day, this guy's putting out a piece of art. Don't you think he deserves $70 million and more because of his other art? I mean, that's a lot of effort. So I don't know that you and I are ever going to get, that much money, but I know that you and I will succeed if we demonstrate the consistency that Mike Winkelmann did with respect to everydays. So that's why it's such an amazing accomplishment in my mind out there. And the press doesn't talk about this. The press says, it's $70 million for a piece of digital art, man. So lame. Let's look deeper. Let's figure out what he actually did to make that. See if we get to, okay, my comments are messed up again. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Okay, so you're having a conversation about blue crystals. That's all I got on my line. All right, cool. Well, the time is now. What time is it? Okay, we got some time. The time is now to announce the #1 most expensive NFT in the world. And again, when I first read about this, by the way, it was in December of 2021. So a little over a month ago, when I heard about this sale for $91.8 million, I was like, okay, oops, let's move this one. I was like, okay, that doesn't look that cool. It's amazing that someone would pay upwards of $100 million for this. But then I dug deeper and I found the story of Murat Pak. We talked about him initially when we discussed Mike Winkelmann, and you'll remember that Pak was the introducer of Beeple to the NFT process, and super knowledgeable, super open to technology, a great artist, committed to his trade for many decades. So what I want you to imagine right now is you buy a painting. Okay, so you buy a painting and you put it on your wall. Now you buy another painting from the same artist later on in time. And when you buy it and you put it on the wall next to your original painting, the original image, the original painting image changes. Okay, so you bought a picture of a flower and now that image changes to a horse. And then this new painting that you just bought, when you bought it, it looked like a sun. And then you put it on the wall next to the original painting and it turned into a moon. This is the concept of Pak's merge. The headline was this big piece of art, or this piece of art cost $91 million. That's not the whole story. The whole story is that merge is actually a collection of many different NFT images, and it's more than that. The origin of the merge was that Pak wanted to create NFTs for the masses. He saw these, Beeple sales and high demand, the Bored Ape Yacht Club for selling for $250,000 or more. And he's like, listen, I want to create this NFT that normal people can afford, but I'm going to do some tinkering to it so that I can also get an engaged community with it, kind of almost part of it. So he came up with this concept, which I think you and I can use in our own creative endeavors. And that is a limited time sale with increasing price. So he's on December 2nd of 2021. So, I mean, we're not talking a long time ago, right? A month ago. This guy said, I'm going to have a sale of these MASH units. That's the individual pieces of this NFT called the merge. And I'm going to sell each MASH unit for $299 and $299 per MASH unit. So for, listen, it's money, definitely costs some money, but for kind of a reasonable cost, you could own a piece of this famous guy's NFT. That's great, but there's a twist. This sale is only open for 48 hours between December 2nd and December 4th. And every 6 hours, each MASH unit will go up in price $25. So by creating this concept for the sale of this NFT, he not only drove up the FOMO for it, in other words, the fear of missing out for it, but he also engaged his community to be able to be there on time to try to get the $299 NFTs as opposed to the 324 NFTs and so on. He also made people go, oh, I got to mark this on my calendar because it's only going to be for 2 days. Use these concepts for your own creative endeavors. All right, so he did that. And it turned out that 28,000, actually, their sales were 312,000 sales of MASH units, and 28,000 different collectors bought into the merge. There was no limit on how many MASH units you could buy. It just was a function of whether or not you were there to be able to claim your NFT and also pay that price. So when the media says, dude, it's upwards of $1 million or $100 million for this NFT, this piece of digital art that's lame, blah, 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 it doesn't tell the whole story. Actually, it's the collective sales that resulted in the $91.8 million price. And the other part that was so amazing about this piece of art is that, let's say you bought one. If you bought one, you got this kind of globule image that you see right here. You bought two, those images changed, and actually the NFTs merged. The smaller of the NFTs actually disappeared, and it became another piece of artwork that presumably increased in value there. So it was a merge of various MASH units. So some people have one MASH unit. They have one part of the merge. Some people have 10 MASH units with an even bigger, different NFT image. Maybe later on in time, that person who has 10 MASH units decides that he wants to buy a MASH unit off the secondary market. Well, when he brings that MASH unit to his 10, that changes the image and they merge together. So a really innovative concept on so many different levels. One is the sale, driving the community, driving the scarcity. And then two, the features involved in this art. So it's no wonder that the project as a whole brought in $91 million. So yeah, so I just want to make sure I did say there's 312. Okay. So my thought is on this is that let's take some of the lessons from these multi-million NFT artist creators and use them in our own creative endeavors. That is learning the technology, that is being open, that is speaking to people, more importantly, and letting them show you the way. Sometimes that's the easiest way. And that is thinking outside the box and creating some features that no one has ever thought of that add substantial value to your NFTs. All right, let's see here. Okay. Again, my comments are messed up, guys. So I apologize here, but I just want to mention too, if you're liking what we're doing today, just make sure and give me a thumbs up so that we can push this video out to other people. Because I think that these lessons that we learned from the most expensive NFTs are lessons that we can use in our own business and capitalize on and make money with and add value to our creators. So at the beginning of the talk, I talked about this one characteristic that all the most expensive NFTs in the world have. You'll notice that I think there's only 4 different artists groups that created the top 10 most expensive NFTs in the world. We got Xcopy, we got Matt Hall and John Watkinson of the CryptoPunks. We have Beeple, of course, and then we have Pock. So we got 4. These people really understood this one characteristic that I think is something that we can use to be able to maximize our business. Now, when they created these NFTs, they didn't just create digital art. They didn't just, say, oh, this picture is so beautiful that people are going to want to buy it. No, they thought bigger. They said, I've got to give more in this NFT to be able to have people pay these big prices and have value this purchase. And so that's what they did. And so when they did that, though, it did generate the communities. It did generate these larger audiences. And what was so wonderful about these NFTs, and this is the thing that I really want you to take in, is that no other time in history has such a vehicle to audience intention existed. In other words, no other time do we have such a feature-rich piece of media, so to speak, that can do so many different things. It reminds me of the iPhone. We still call it the iPhone, but we rarely use it as a phone. It can do so many different things. Matter of fact, it's even kind of hard to name. What would we name it with what it does? A camera, phone, text, app, video, podcast. I mean, it would be really hard to name. And NFTs is the same way. this non-fungible token, while kind of hard to say and kind of hard to understand, it's a catch-all term that we use because it's so impossible to describe all the different features. So the one common characteristic that all these artists got was the fact that they could give unending value by selling these NFTs to their audience and generate their communities. Unending value. A lot of these NFTs can be access keys, can be things like tickets to future offerings from the artists. We talked about the utility tokens being so important to be able to give your community access to your business and to your creativity. So the key thing that all these things have is this unending value to the community. So I would really encourage you guys to embrace this NFT craze, not get caught up in the hype and mortgage your house to buy a piece of digital art. No, just read about it. Just talk to people. Go on Fiverr, go on Upwork, go on some of these websites where you can hire people to be able to generate the images you want or to create a utility token on a various exchange. You don't learn about it. And I bet you'll be mind blown like I am. It's almost overwhelming to figure out how many different uses we can have for these NFTs. I'm really excited for the legal side. In other words, there's going to be smart contracts with the various blockchains that allow smart contracts are going to be the way we do business in the future. And if you can figure out a niche in that, I think you're going to be a very successful person. So one characteristic that all these have, which I think you should import, is the use of NFTs as a community builder, as a means of unending value to the communities. And I'm super excited to join the craze. All right, we got the Trent the Hedgehog saying, "What's up? Good to see you, Trent." Yeah, so my comments are messed up. I don't quite know why. So it's hard for me to see. Oh yeah, we got the Van Duzy's talking about an NFT that changes with the seasons. Yep, again, thinking outside the box. It's great. But my comments are kind of messed up today. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm probably going to have to end this a little bit early because I can't even see the comments. But again, you guys know my name is Ian. I'm a lawyer for creators. If you want a weekly notice of Metaverse opportunities, feel free to go down to the description section and click on the link. Join my email list where you'll get a weekly email of opportunities as well as notice of my videos, my live stream, my blog, all the different things. If you ever need to work with me personally, maybe you have an NFT collection that you need for me to review. A lot of you guys are doing parodies of trademarks and copyrights. You have Fox NFT and you want to put on Gucci and Louis Vuitton gear. And so you're worried about the fact that that might infringe on trademarks or copyright. You can always schedule a time to meet with me personally, do an online consult. You do that by going to iancorzine.com, clicking on the link in the upper right, book now, and you can get on my calendar. I've been helping a lot of NFT artists out there with copyright and trademark issues, so I'd be happy to do that for you. And otherwise, I'm going to be coming out with a very interesting video, I think, as soon as possible. I got to get it edited, but it's all about taxes and crypto, to be followed by a taxes and NFTs and virtual land. A lot of you guys have done very well in the crypto world. You put in $500 in March of 2020 when it was at the bottom, and now it's worth thousands of dollars. And you're wondering, hey, do I have to pay taxes on this? How do I declare my taxes? Are there capital gains? What's the Apple capital gain rate? Well, I was able to speak to a crypto tax expert, and I'm going to put together a video, and I'm trying to make it as simple and easy to watch as possible. That's going to be coming out next, and you can check that out. And so you'll know what to do with crypto, NFTs, and stuff on your taxes. So anyway, thanks for joining me on this Saturday early morning. I love you guys. See you next week.